The recording button has now started. Welcome everybody to Giltedge Africa's webinar on Tanzania. And this is a very, very exciting destination. Let me say this, that it is one of Africa's most unique and diverse destinations. This East Africa country offers a variety of experiences and it covers many interests. You've got your safaris, you've got your cultural excursions, you've got hiking, mountain climbing, as well as, of course, your beach getaways, and I'll show that to you in a minute. It is a land, I like to say, of natural wonder, vibrant culture, and some of the world's best game viewing ever. Very few countries offer as much natural beauty and the diverse scenery and landscapes as Tanzania. So you'll get the snow-capped peaks of Mount Kili, as we fondly like to call it, Mount Kilimanjaro, and of course you get the endless savanna plains of the Serengeti to the lush East Africa coffee plantations. And then many people land up in the idyllic beaches of Zanzibar. So because it is a circuit, you've got a north circuit and a southern circuit. And for timing's sake, I'm just going to focus today on the northern circuit. So here is the map of Tanzania, and I would just like to show you the northern circuit. It stretches from here, ARUSHA, to the Serengeti, which is one of the most iconic national parks over here. This includes TARANGIRE National Park over here, Lake MANYARA, which is about over here. You've also got the NGORONGORO crater. You've got the Old Divide Gorge, which is pretty much in the same area. This is a paleoanthropological site of very early human development, totally fascinating. And then, of course, you've got the great Rift Valley lakes over here, Lake Natron and Lake Yasi. So that is the circuit that I am going to cover today. But since I have this map, I just wanted you to get a sense of your bearings. You've got Kenya in the north. You've got Uganda and Rwanda over here in the northeast. You've got Zambia in the south. And over here, you've got the Indian Ocean with Zanzibar, which is the popular beach destination. And then a little further south, you've got Mozambique, and a little way off the map, you've got Malawi. So that's kind of the location of Tanzania. And I wanted just to say that the South Circuit, it's much more remote. It offers a much more remote safari experience. It is less visited, so it has a smaller footprint, and it is relatively untamed. I'm not going to be speaking on it, but I'm just going to show you've got the Selous Game Reserve over here. You've got Ruaha National Park, Mikumi National Park. So we'll touch on that on another webinar. So just before we move forward, I wanted just to show you the international airports. You've got Dar es Salaam, which is your first international airport, and it's the gateway, of course, to the southern circuit, but also to Zanzibar and to the Indian Ocean. And then you've got the second international airport at Mount Kilimanjaro, and that is the main entrance, of course, to the northern circuit, which we're talking about as well. And what happens is that you often arrive at Kilimanjaro in the evening, and so people spend a night in ARUSHA. And ARUSHA over here is a domestic hub, so you get all your shuttles and you get all your small flights. They take you to the various parks and locations in the northern circuit. All right, so we've spoken about the location, and we've spoken about the northern and the southern safari circuit. And we were talking about access and logistics, and I've already covered while I had the map up, the different airports, Dar es Salaam, Kilimanjaro, and of course, ARUSHA. All right, so how do you get around this beautiful country? Well, there are two ways. The first, of course, and the best way, I would say, for people who are time sensitive is through air. They call it fly-around safaris. Most convenient way to get around, and you can obviously see a lot more by covering a lot more ground this way. From the air, you get a bird's eye view of the gorgeous varying landscapes of the Tanzania circuits. And it also provides a great network of light aircraft shuttle. So it takes you between lodges to the major towns, the different parks, etc. So that's very convenient. And then once you're on the ground, the lodges, the different lodges will provide the game drives, and they will host any of the other activities so you can maximize, as I say here, the time spent game viewing. So good photograph, because the little charter flights are quite small, typically 6 to 12 people, and so many of you may know that you have to tell your clients to take soft-sided, squishy duffel bags so they can fit them into the hull. And there is, of course, a limit on the size of these bags. So from this picture, you can understand why. But very exciting. All right, access and logistics. So Tanzania via land or private guided road safaris. So anyway, these overland travel versus the fly-in. You travel around in these closed vehicles, closed private safari vehicles, all right? And this allows for a much more flexible schedule, and you can focus on special interests, and you can stay as long as you want in one area and move on to the next. And you have private guides, and who are usually quite passionate and knowledgeable, and they chat with you along the way. They become your best friend, and it's a great way to see the landscape. I do have to, just from personal experience, let you know that the roads are quite bumpy. And so I often share with my clients, they can get to be in the first rung of the Jeep, okay? If they lay it, it's great because it's a little less bumpy. So that's just kind of a little tip from me on the side. Stunning photos. All right, now there are two types of safari packages. You've got your game package and you've got your full board package. And the difference between these, in the game package, often used in fly-in safaris, the game drives will be included in the rates, and the lodge, the actual safari lodges will be in charge of conducting the game drives. The drives will belong to the lodge. And these drives are usually shared by other guests, unless, of course, it's fairly empty and you get the vehicle to yourself. But if you want to have a private vehicle, you certainly can book that in advance, and there will be a surcharge. But that's the first one. That's the game package. And then the full board package is for those people and clients who want to have their own private guide and their own private vehicle throughout their travels in the circuit. So from lodge to lodge, you'll have the same guide, you'll have the same vehicle, and it's often enjoyed a lot by clients because they become familiar with the guide, and so just know that it can be requested. All right, moving along. I've put this picture up over here, and I'm going to touch just briefly on the cultural aspect of the Maasai people in Kenya and Tanzania. And they are certainly a wonderful culture. They're very spiritual. They are very revering towards the cattle. They do not eat meat, but they do have a lot of cattle. They use the blood a lot and the milk. And if you do get a chance to visit a Maasai village and to kind of experience the culture, I would say it's definitely worthwhile. Very, very fascinating and inspiring, actually. All right, so I showed you the map earlier and showed you which countries border Tanzania. And so it's definitely very easy and doable to combine with a number of different East Africa countries. So, of course, you've got Kenya that I mentioned. You've got the wonderful Masai Mara, and they share a common border. So the Serengeti and the Masai Mara basically border each other. You've also got Zanzibar for the bush and beach experience. Lovely to go to the beach for honeymoon and to relax after a safari. You've got the Uganda, which is the gorilla trekking in the Bwindi impenetrable forest. You've got Rwanda, which has amazing culture and history. And, of course, they have the gorilla trekking in the Volcanoes National Park, very close by, very easy access. And then, of course, you've got Southern Africa. And there are daily flights to Johannesburg, to Harare, which is in Zimbabwe, and Cape Town, and therefore it makes it easy to combine with the Victoria Falls. So just an FYI, it doesn't have to be a standalone destination. Great picture. just an indication and a tease and a taste of the Great Migration, which many of you may be familiar with, and this happens mostly between, say, May and October. It's actually a year-round migration, but the crazy part that happens when the animals cross the Mara River and follow the water and the green grasses is where you get about 1.something million wildebeest and zebra all crossing together, and it is definitely a bucket list, phenomenal experience. And that's just a lovely little picture just to kind of give you a taste. All right, so I showed you the map, and I'm going to cover the main areas of interest in Tanzania. And the first one is ARUSHA. I said earlier on, it's a domestic hub, and it's a 45-minute drive from Kilimanjaro International Airport, and many people spend the first night in ARUSHA. And it's this hub for all the connecting flights to the different towns and the different lodges. And there's also a park, ARUSHA National Park, which is in the foothills of Mount Meru. And it has all sorts of activities. You can go canoeing, you can go on game drives, walking, you know, go to the lakes. They've got the colobus monkeys, and it does have quite a bit of wildlife, but no predators and no rhinos. Some more pictures, of course. Always got to have animal pictures. All right, a couple of lodges. In fact, I'm actually going to just focus on this presentation on one lodge. You've got Legendary Lodge. I stayed at the ARUSHA Coffee Lodge. These lodges are very often in these coffee plantations, so they kind of got a colonial feel, and they're surrounded by these lush tropical gardens, and they're usually working coffee farms. So this one here is 10 minutes from the airport. So is the ARUSHA Coffee Lodge. It has 10 garden cottages. You can have family cottages. They've got wonderful views, beautifully decorated, as I said, with a blend of African style, but you still have that whole kind of Western comfort, and gourmet meals. So it's a great place to start or end a safari. That's the Legendary Lodge. You can see the colonial feel, you can see the beauty, beautifully appointed, and of course it's always lovely to have breakfast or lunch on the veranda. All right, the next area of interest is TARANGIRE National Park. I'm saying it correctly, TARANGIRE National Park, or TARANGIRE National Park. And this is easily accessible by 2 hours, it's 2 hours from ARUSHA. And it's close to Lake Manyara. And this is a very unique landscape. You can see in the picture over here the baobab trees, which are my absolute favorite trees, the upside down trees. And they actually have a forest of them. Often in Zambia or Zimbabwe, you'll see them dotted in the landscape, but here you have a whole forest of baobab trees. You have lots and lots of elephants. The game viewing definitely has buffalo. It has all the large cats. It's sort of big five. And it's relatively unknown, so it's not like the Serengeti. We will get to that. The Serengeti National Park is most iconic, and it's your most, it's your busiest. But it's a great addition, this Tarangire National Park, especially if you're going from en route onto the NGORONGORO crater. Hold on a second, I had got a little bit stuck. All right. Again, animal pictures in between. It's like you have to have a sorbet when you're eating between your meals. I'm putting animal pictures in between your destinations. All right, so a couple of great lodges in the park. You've got Kem camps, and these are all 5-star. It is situated also near Lake Manyara. It's got 3 separate, unique, secluded, elegant tents. And you've got vintage little Kem, you've got private forest camp, and you've got their flagship, which is the luxury Kem. Now, all of them share in these unbelievable variety of activities. You've got your day and night game drives. You've got sundowners. You've got your cultural tours. You've got a bush breakfast. You can walk or run with the Maasai. And these are very athletic warriors, I can tell you that. You've got your hot air ballooning. Many of you have seen those pictures of the pink flamingos on Lake Manyara, which is amazing. Great family safari accommodation. You can listen to the Maasai choir. There's massage therapy, and you can climb the, the hill at sunrise. So lots to do Here are some lovely photographs. Again, when you look at it from the outside, it is blending in with the landscape. But when you go inside into the tent, you can see the luxury, the beautiful linens, beautifully appointed pictures, and of course, you know, lovely swings and couches that you can rest on. Then, of course, we have Tarangire treetops. This is a little bit of a bigger lodge. There's 20 elevated rooms. And the main lodge, if you look down here on the left, okay, is built around a 1,000-year-old baobab tree. Imagine that, a tree being over 1,000 years old, and that's what's so fascinating about these trees. And then this main area has a restaurant, and has the bar, and there's a swimming hole, and you can spend time, you know, lazy looking at animals right from this location. And lots of activities very similar to the previous one, your bushwalks, you know, you've got your bird watching, cultural visits, sunsets, Maasai cultural experience, and so on and so forth. Another lovely picture, you can see the boma where you have dinner at night. That's usually a fire, and the views are spectacular, and the comfort is just magnificent with this infinity pool. All right, another area of interest, and I've spoken about it a few times, Lake Manyara, where you get all the pink flamingos. And this is a salt lake, an alkaline, or a soda lake, not salt, soda lake, and it attracts a huge amount of birds with pink flamingos. You've got crocodiles, you've got hippos, it's crazy. You can see the hippos at the bottom over here, and you can see how many flamingos are on the lake, especially at certain times of the year. So it's got a rich mosaic life, different habitats from grassy floodplains, you've got the dense acacia woods, and so there's just a tremendous amount of wildlife experience to do. A few more pictures. All right, now some top lodges at Lake Manyara is the ANDBEYOND. Now ANDBEYOND, just like their name, are actually, you know, amazing. And this one has just 9 romantic treehouse suites in the heart of a big forest, and you can see the pictures at the bottom. They've got a kitchen, so some of it is, you know, you can participate in the cooking. They've got the boma for the open air dining. You've got your game drives, and what's funny when I read this and I was researching some of these locations, they've got the tree climbing lions. And so you think, goodness gracious, all these suites are in tree houses. Are these lions going to be able to climb up and get to me? So no, of course not. You are safety is the #1 issue. The lions will be kept far away from the lodges, but it is interesting to see these lions in the trees, and it's just kind of a phenomenon for the area. All right, of course you've got all the flamingos. Beautiful pictures of the lodge. Of course, got your bathtub that's kind of open air. They've got indoors and outdoor showers. The romantic dinners on the deck, and of course beautifully appointed, but again subtle and blending in with the you know, with the African exterior. And always the mosquito nets at night. I'm sure many of you know that Tanzania is a malaria area, and your guests are required to take malaria tablets. I'll come to that later. All right, the next area that is absolutely splendid and amazing is the NGORONGORO crater. And this crater is a natural, it's a caldera, which is the bottom part of a volcano. And they call it a natural amphitheater. It was created about 2 million years ago when a volcano collapsed. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site for being the largest intact volcanic caldera in the world. And the ecosystems in this caldera are amazing. You'll go from riverine, and you'll turn the corner and you'll be in forest, and then you'll go into kind of sort of desert, and then there'll be lakes. And so it's just really amazing with these sort of different biospheres. Again, some pictures. And so I'm going to just chat to you a little bit about these biospheres because it is such a phenomena. You have got the Larai forest, which has these yellow fever trees. They call fever trees, the barks are a little kind of yellow. To the north, you've got the soda lakes, and to the east, you'll find the swamp lake. And then, of course, you've got the springs. I can never pronounce that. The Ngoi Toki Tok Springs, where the hippos are found. And then, of course, you've got the grasslands in the northern part of the crater, and then of course you've got the deep soda lake, which is here is they call it the Emerald Lake. There's a great picture of it. So many of the lodges in the Ngorongoro crater are up at the top of the crater, and in the mornings you come down and you go through the mist as you get down into the crater, and it's just almost like an out-of-worldly experience. And you get to the bottom, and the game viewing is off the charts, by the way. A couple of great lodges in the area. You've got the ANDBEYOND, which is always ANDBEYOND, the Ngorongoro Crater Lodge. And this is a camp that has 30 stilted suites, and they each have their own dining areas. And there's handcrafted banana thatch being the roofing. They've got floor-to-ceiling glass windows, stunning views of the crater below, and lots to do. So here's a picture. It's kind of, over the top in a way. Very ornate, but the views are spectacular. The service is unbelievable, and the crater viewing of animals is spectacular. Then you've got the manor at Ngorongoro Lodge, and this one here is adjacent to a 1,500-acre coffee estate. It's got a much more kind of Dutch, this is the Dutch kind of architecture. You see a lot of that actually in Cape Town. And it has 18 cottages with private entrances. And it's got the Victorian-style claw-footed bathtubs, which are lovely. And lots to do, of course, on the crater floor. You can go lunch and go to the Old Dubai Gorge, which I mentioned earlier. This is paleoanthropological site of early humans. And sundowners, mountain biking, swimming, massage, spa treatments, you name it. And that's another picture of the lodge. Right, now we come to the Serengeti National Park. I like to just say Serengeti. It brings up these visuals of that movie Out of Africa with Robert Redford and Meryl Streep. I almost forgot his name. Just the best known park. And it has a huge concentration of birds and animals. But I have to say, because of this, the footprint in this area is a little more than anywhere else. So it is quite busy, and it's not uncommon to have multiple vehicles around a sighting, especially in peak season. But it's great for year-round viewing. The Serengeti Valley is the center of the park, and that's where you have all your concentration of animals. You have the big five, and as I said, it is a very busy park, but it's well worth it. All right, so we're talking a little bit about the migration. I showed you a picture earlier on where, as I said, there can be up to 1.5 million wildebeest and zebra kind of crossing at the same time, and you see them and you hear them, and there's dust, and they cross over the water, and there's crocodiles, and there's lions, and it's really a spectacle. And you are in their territory, so you definitely are an onlooker. And but anyway, in May, the herds graze along the western corridor because it's a circuit, okay? And then in June, July, they split up, and some continue west, and some go due north, and they're constantly following the green grass and the water. And they will circulate again. And then during December to April, they give birth. And what's interesting about that is because there's so many of them, you're going to see literally hundreds and thousands of baby wildebeest / zebra. So the whole kind of migration and following them around is truly a once in a lifetime experience. All right, so a little bit about the, by the way, and I wanted to say that the animals don't move all the time. There's a lot of plains animals, your giraffe and your rhino and your different types of animals, your zebra, your warthog, your hyena, who do not follow the water. So these plain animals are there all the year round. So it doesn't mean you have to go there just for the Great Migration. So anyway, the Serengeti has, good temperatures. So for much of the year, it's kind of 70 to 80. The nights do get cool, as they do in the Ngorongoro crater, especially in our summer, their winter. So June, July, August, of course, is their winter. So I always tell people to bring like a little jacket, because as the day goes on, it could warm up, and the mornings are cool. And then, of course, they've got their rainy seasons, the short rains in November, December, and then you get the long rains, March to May. And so anyway, the dry season is June to October. But, you know, you don't have to remember all of this. You can just rely on your brilliant Giltedge consultants. We are all Africa experts, and we can certainly share with you the temperature and the rainy season, because it is a little bit of a Rubik's Cube. Well, I just kind of put this slide in just to show you that here is Kenya. This is the Great Migration. It's a circuit. And they cross over the Mara River from the Masai Mara Game Reserve, and they go into the Serengeti. And here it's kind of showing you here at the very sort of bottom is usually when they are giving birth, and they just follow the circuit. All right. So there are a couple of lodges. I'm going to kind of touch on 2 or 3. You've got the SINCITA SASAKWA Lodge. This is in the Grumeti, and this forms part of the Serengeti Mara ecosystem. It's kind of more European. It's got a African influence. It's got infinity pools. It's got air conditioning and fans. It's got everything that you can imagine: spa, boutique, ballooning. They've also, by the way, got a canine unit, and that canine unit is well known. They're out there to do the poaching. And so it's quite phenomenal if you get an opportunity to go out with these dogs and see how they do their their watching out there for the poachers. All right, that's a lovely picture of the lodge, again with the views and beautifully appointed. All right, you've also got ANDBEYOND, and this is in Grumeti, and this is in the western side. It's got a beautiful boma, as you can see over here. Typically on safari, if you're there at a lodge for several nights, one of them will be in the boma, which is typically outside, and it's usually a buffet. And then other nights maybe in the main eating or dining area, and the food will be served. So they kind of mix it up a little. But it's absolutely beautifully appointed, and it has everything you can imagine. And here's some lovely pictures again. This is one of my favorites. Look at that with the babies. And that's how close you get on safari. You get really close up to the animals. And then, of course, you get the SINCITA Mara River Tented Camp. This is 6 luxury tents. And you can do the ballooning, the wine tasting, a little over the top, but it's fabulous. It's kind of more bohemian chic. That's what I mean by bohemian chic. It's kind of soft colors, beautifully appointed, as I like to keep saying. And then the last one in the Serengeti, because I wanted to put multiple lodges because it is the bigger and the more popular area. But you do also get your mobile camps, which are fabulous to stay at. These mobile camps are set up and they're moved around depending on where the Great Migration is, because the animals move around. So they will pull these tents down and move them to the next location, and they often have bucket showers where they will bring hot water to you. And the mod cons, like your plugins, your inserts, will typically be in the main lodge. You may not have an area in your particular camp or suite where you can plug in your phone. But it's all beautifully appointed, and it welcomes kids of every age. And you will never be stinted on service and comfort and certainly not in game viewing. It's just actually more African, more authentic African, and that is because you know, you're really out there. It's not a permanent lodge. Great experience. All right, and to top things off, just a little bit of useful country information. The language is Swahili and English, which is more of the official language spoken by most people. And there are many ethnic groups, but the most common greeting is Jumbo, and you'll learn a few of those words when you go out here. The currency is the Tanzanian shilling, but everybody uses dollars, so nobody converts money. It's all dollars. Now, I was talking a little earlier on about health. Well, you are going to need your malaria, and for Tanzania, you have to have a yellow fever vaccination. So everything else, you may or may not want to do. You don't need any of the other stuff unless your CDC doctor tells you to. But those are the two. And the yellow fever, by the way, used to be valid for only 10 years, now valid forever. So if you want to come back to go to the Southern Circuit or go anywhere else, you never have to get another yellow fever injection. All right, now entry visas, you do need, as a U.S. citizen, a visa. You can get these online, or you can actually get them on arrival. I got mine online, and I recommend that. It's very easy, and you don't have to sort of wait in line when you get to the airport. So I would just recommend that you get your visa in advance. All right, visas are required for, as I said, all U.S. citizens. Your passport has to be valid for a minimum of 6 months beyond the visa issuance or date of entry, and you have to have at least one blank visa page. All important, and we will, of course, remind you, but good to know. All right, let's see, got stuck again. Some lovely photos, aerial view of hippos. Amazing. Climate and weather, you know, as I said, it's a Rubik's Cube. I was just going to just reiterate that their winter, June, July, August, our summer, of course, is the coolest months, and actually quite nice to go, because in the very hot season, which is there December, January, February, it's rather hot. So it's great to go in the cooler months. And very important to just recognize when the rains are. So in mid-April and May, you know, that's when you're going to get the long rains. June to September is the cool season, and November, December you've got the short rains, and October to March is the hottest season. So it's never really a bad time to go, but it can get quite hot, you know, in the summer. All right, I mentioned the best time to travel, but you know, being a Rubik's Cube, I think you've got the big picture. Be aware of the rains, be aware of the temperatures. And so that's it, guys. Just a little plug for Giltedge Africa. For 8 years in a row now, 8 years in a row, we've been the World Travel Award winner of South Africa's leading luxury tour operator. So you know you're in excellent hands. And so I just want to thank you for joining us on this stunning visual adventure. And if anybody has any questions at this stage, you can certainly ask them